Welcome to beautiful Charleston, South Carolina. I'm Chuck Lofton, and on this trip, we've seen everything from culture and fun to history and arguably some of the greatest food in the world. We've really tried to capture the heart and soul of this place, so sit back and enjoy as we have yet another Chuck's Big Adventure trip, this time to Charleston, South Carolina. Amid the sights of historic Charleston, one sound is impossible not to hear.
Come on, baby. Come on.
Tourists have seen this city in this way for generations.
Let's do it, Griffin. My name is Scott. I'll be your guide today in this lovely, beautiful, historic city. Rainbow Row, the most photographed part of Charleston.
Guests on this 16-seat carriages are immersed in this city's story. The good?
We have the second most preserved city district in the world outside of Rome.
And the bad.
2 wars, 5 great fires, earthquake of 1886, quite resilient.
These hosts
Italianate architectural design.
Are all Palmetto-trained guide experts.
Charles Cotesworth Pinckney, John Rutledge. In this graveyard, they are both signers of the Constitution.
They really know Charleston.
So the city ordinance has it that no building in the historic district can be taller than the tallest church steeple. Step hard, buddy. Come on.
Old South Carriage Tours uses 30 Belgian and Percheron horses. The horses are evaluated after every tour and on their off hours rest on a farm at nearby Johns Island.
Good boy.
Yes, you'll hear this sound in downtown Charleston.
Defensive fortifications during the Civil War.
And it's the sound of yet another Charleston story being told.
Gas lanterns in the city. Very important, yes indeed. It's history, it's the culture, Southern hospitality. It's just a wonderful place.
In historic Charleston,
Up ahead of us, St. Philip's,
soaring church spires
First Scots Presbyterian Church,
make it easy to see
French Huguenot Church,
why this is called the Holy City.
St. Michael's Church property now.
It's easy to hear why, too. If you know where to listen.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Hall's Chop House Gospel Brunch. This moonlight of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, this moonlight of mine, I'm gonna let it
Long after the church pews have emptied,
this moonlight of mine,
songs of the Lowcountry feed the soul.
let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, yeah.
Lynette White makes sure of that. Lynette, I can't imagine doing a Chuck's Big Adventure in Charleston and not talking to you, so thanks for spending time with me.
Not a problem.
To you, what is Lowcountry music?
Okay, low country music to me is what we do. The old spiritual songs, the old gospel songs, and the hymns. Swing low, sweet chariot. The songs that we do were created in the plantation fields. Oh, swing low. The culture is important because if you don't know where you come from, how you know where you're going?
Lynette's Plantation Singers began 27 years ago with just 3 people. Now, there are 20 singers.
Victory is mine. Oh, yeah. Victory is mine.
It's a diverse group with a shared ambition
It's mine.
to celebrate and preserve this music.
No Satan.
The music
Yes, he behind.
of the Lowcountry.
Victory today is mine. Yes.
I loved it because not only was your music good, but those folks had joy.
That's it. What it represents for us is peace, love, joy, and happiness.
Well, you're spreading it, Lynette. Thank you so much.
Hey, I do what thus saith the Lord.
You can't go wrong there, right?
Not a lick.
For 24 years, millions of guests have flocked to the South Carolina Aquarium. This place reveals the beauty of the Atlantic. The aquarium is also a place of hope. Staff and volunteers operate a turtle triage here. I have never been to a triage for turtles. And wow, what a miraculous place this is.
Yes, thank you so much. It's really exciting to be able to show our guests how we interact with, take these sick animals in, triage them to get them healthy and ultimately back out into the wild. They're going to get x-rays, blood work. We're even really fortunate to have a CT scan machine here. These are like hospital beds, so each tank, after we release a turtle, we disinfect the tank, get it ready just like you would a hospital bed for the next patient.
There's a never-ending supply of potential patients, but by helping these turtles to heal, the entire environment of this coastline is affected and changed for the better. You know, I think when people think of sea life, it's sea life,
Yeah.
my life. But the two really do combine, don't they?
Absolutely. And that's one of the things we try to teach people is that, you know, everything is connected and how even if you live in the middle of the state, you know, that your actions can have a positive or a negative impact on the oceans and how the health of the oceans can have a positive or negative impact on us. So, you know, there's lots of ways that we can appreciate it and take care of it no matter where you live.
Man, this is special. You know, this is a special place and it's beautiful.
And it's something that very few people really get to see. I mean, to be out here where we are, not many people at all get to take this journey.
These marshlands all around us produce flavor. You got to get a lot of oysters. It's all about numbers.
Trey McMillan was a nationally famous pro fisherman. But a few years ago, he gave it all up to focus on oyster farming, and he hasn't looked back. So Trey, what are we doing here right now?
So we're gonna pull all these bags out of the cages. We're basically gonna work our way back down this line here.
His Lowcountry Oyster Company harvests millions of oysters for use, mainly in restaurants across the country.
We have a half dozen or dozen on the half shell on a plate of ice. The good Lowcountry flavor, you can't beat it.
The team carefully processes each harvest, making sure only the best make it from farm to table. And for that,
add these beautiful oysters.
we met up with culinary instructor and chef Kevin Mitchell.
These are really delicate, so once again, they won't take too long to cook. Some celery here.
Chef Kevin prepares students to be part of Charleston's legacy of fine food. Knowing how to prepare oysters is a must.
Yeah, that's it.
It's good.
Yes. That oyster flavor is really kicked up, but I will sprinkle just a little bit of salt. This is our oyster soup, stew, whichever you want to call it.
What a wonderful farm-to-table
Yes.
experience, Chef Kevin.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a South Carolina delicacy, homegrown and harvested in this beautifully remote corner of the Lowcountry. And how many acres?
350,000.
You're a one-man band almost at times out here.
Yeah, you're not going to call somebody to come bring you Uber lunch or anything, I can tell you that.
Magnolia began its gardens in the 1840s. Reverend Drayton wanted to bring his wife paradise here on earth. And at the end of the Civil War, Reverend Drayton was land rich and cash poor. And in order to bring some money back to the family, he decided to open the property to the public.
The plantation also doesn't shy away from its history with slavery. 4 restored cabins that were once home to enslaved people serve as a focal point for conversation about a dark time in American history.
And at the end of the Civil War, Reverend Drayton offered the enslaved the ability to stay in the cabins they were living in originally. They would go from duplexes to a single family home, and they could work in the phosphate mines across the street and also help tend to the gardens here, and 21 took him up on that offer.
So let's fast forward to 2024, and you've got people even this early in the winter coming out to see the gardens. What is it that draws people here?
We have something in bloom 342 days out of the year for our guests to see. We also have a very rich history, not only with the From Slavery to Freedom tour, but our Magnolia House tour, history that's in the grounds itself, the family tomb, the magnolia trees, the live oak trees. And then we have our wildlife here at Magnolia, not only our migratory birds, but our alligators, our turtles. Anything you want to see here at Magnolia, we have something for everybody.
In Charleston Harbor, a 30-minute ferry ride takes visitors to a small island fort with a big place in history. I've always felt that the story of the United States cannot be told in full without hearing about Fort Sumter.
Yes, sir, you are correct. This is one of the defining moments in American history, where the American Civil War begins.
April 12, 1861, the first shots are fired. After a 34-hour bombardment from all sides, Sumter falls, and America's bloodiest war begins.
If you take all the American soldiers who died of all causes in the American Revolution, the War of 1812, the Mexican War, fighting with the Native Americans, the Spanish-American War, World War I, World War II in Korea, and add them all up, there's still more American soldiers who died in the Civil War than all those wars added together.
Former historian Rick Hatcher has spent his life walking people through the fort's storied past.
The walls would have had essentially 3 tiers of cannons. We only have the remains of some of the first tiers. There were living space inside for 650 officers and men. We don't have any of that here today.
But the reminders of the battles fought here are all around.
There are projectiles in the wall that came from cannons up to 5 miles away. There are fingerprints in the bricks. The bricks are all made on local plantations by enslaved people, and those fingerprints are a tool for us to remember a whole group of people that often we don't have anything left over from them. No family heirlooms, no written documents.
In 1865, a liberated Fort Sumter was the site of a flag-raising ceremony to celebrate the Union victory. Today, park rangers, with the help of visitors, make sure the flag still flies high over this uniquely American place.
The Civil War begins here. The end of the Civil War results in the beginnings of freedom for over 4 million people. The history of this place continues to impact us today.
Charleston is a city full of culture and history.
But to truly experience Charleston as a whole, you got to experience the Salt Marsh Estuary. You got to come out on a boat.
And Jackie, not only is Chuck's Big Adventure going to Charleston, but because of you, we're going back to prehistoric times, right?
Yes, yeah.
Coastal Expeditions takes visitors out to Crab Bank, a small island made of dredge spoils from the bottom of Charleston Harbor.
They take all of that sediment and they dump it in a big pile somewhere. So what they're doing is they're digging up all those old earth layers reaching down to like 30 million years old, and then they're dumping it in a big pile, and as the waves hit the shore, stuff comes out of that pile, not just sediment, but also fossils.
I think it's a megalodon tooth, but we'll check with the person.
To be able to hold something that is 10 million years old in your hands. That's a magical moment.
Treasure for all fossil hunters. It's what you want to find.
It gives us a glimpse back in time a little bit.
Oh, wow!
Yeah! And you get to go home with treasure.
That's right. And you never thought it. So you're not only on a tour, you're on a treasure hunt.
Absolutely.
In a very real way.
Anytime you're out with me, we're going to be looking for treasure.
People on our tour have found everything from shark and whale's teeth to mastodon bones. The thing I was most excited about turned out to be a black rock. Jackie, a great time. Thank you so much.
So nice to meet
Enjoyed
you guys.
It. Thank you. It's impossible to visit Charleston and not be surrounded by the West African Gullah culture.
And this here is known as bulrush.
But it does help having someone show you where to look.
This here is so needed for our industry of sweetgrass basket making. If we don't have this raw material, Chuck, we can't make the work.
When West African enslaved people were brought to South Carolina, the tradition of basket making came with them. Corey Alston is a fifth-generation basket maker and our guide to the Lowcountry's Gullah heritage.
So we're here in a slave quarter, and one of the things that Boone Hall has done is allow basket makers to still run their businesses here in the plantation. Miss Delphine is the artisan here today, and what she has is a large variety of different designs that we're keeping alive traditionally, and also some patterns that what we call more contemporary.
Sweetgrass baskets were just the beginning of our day with Corey.
So we have homemade biscuits here, we have some sauteed shrimp.
He also took us to breakfast.
We have baked macaroni, we have crab rice.
And lunch.
Pork shoulder, pork ribs.
And dinner.
So today we're gonna go through the whole thing and, you know, I'm gonna make sure we taste everything. These foods are staples of the Gullah community.
The dark past of places like Chalmers Street is also part of Corey's tour.
The old Slave Mart Museum is one of the structures that is still here with the word slave and with the title. At one time, Chalmers was known to have over 40 auction houses at one time, running in sequence of selling enslaved Africans. So this street has history that we can never erase from it.
The pain and the beauty, the history and the artistry.
Let's dig in, man. Let's get some of this.
All right. A day with Corey is a day you'll never forget, and a culture you can't help but embrace.
You're coming to the city because of the heritage, the cultures that still kept alive. You're not coming for a t-shirt or a keychain.
There is nothing to cool the soul on a hot day in South Carolina like sweet tea. I think it's very appropriate that you have this tea garden in the South, where tea is so much a part of the culture.
It sure is. It sure is. It's everywhere. You can't go to any restaurant and not get tea.
At the Charleston Tea Garden, it's a splash of history, a squeeze of character, and a lot of flavor. The trolley tour gives guests a glimpse of how the tea goes from field to glass and how little things can make a big difference. So I'm going to smell it right here.
Smell it.
Exactly. And there's not much of a smell.
Not much.
But how do I transform that?
So all you do is take your hot breath and blow on it. And then inhale.
Oh, it's completely different scent. Very full and rich and great.
Exactly. And the key note there is your tea doesn't like moisture. So if you're storing it in your house, you want to keep it sealed.
Mike, I look at this beautiful field and it's healthy, it's robust, but you use no pesticides, right?
No, sir, not at all. And that's because the tea leaves contain caffeine, and that's a natural defense mechanism for these plants that we happen to enjoy. Even the local deer population won't eat our tea plants.
I'm going to ask you 3 big questions.
All right.
Okay. Sweet or unsweet?
I am a sweet person.
Sweet or unsweet?
Sweet tea, because it is the table wine of the South, and my mom always said I could always be a little bit sweeter.
Green or black?
Green tea for me, personally.
Green tea, but I love black tea as well.
What about milk in your hot tea?
I don't like milk in my tea.
No milk, I'm a purist.
First stop, one of the South's great men's stores, M. Dumas & Sons. Here I am, I'm coming into your store. You don't know me, Clark, from Adam, but you're ready to start on me. So where do you start in getting me to look good?
To me, we all love sport coats. You guys can't deny it. I mean, you feel better in a sport coat. That's typically where I start.
Okay, Clark, I picked it. Do I look Charleston enough?
I think you fit the bill. Yeah.
All right, I love it. Time for my next accessory, and for that, a stop at Southern Roots, a unique shop that lets you create a one-of-a-kind hat. Laura, not only are you a hat expert, but this is really to you an art form, isn't it?
Exactly, yes. We here at Southern Roots really approach the hat making process as more of an artistry. Some of the pieces that we picked out, what I like to traditionally do is start to layer those pieces onto the hat. And then now the last thing is, again, the burning of initials, numbers, anything that, you know, resonates with you. So what would you like to burn in your hat today?
CBA, Chuck's Big Adventure.
I love it.
And I'll never
I
forget
love it.
being here with your store in Charleston.
I love it.
Well, Jeff, to dress like a Southern gentleman, I couldn't leave South Carolina without visiting you, because you guys at Brackish are the quintessential Southern gentleman look, I would think.
Oh, I'd like to think so as well, but I will tell you what, your suit's looking great, and I'm glad you all came in, and we'll get you set up really well.
What should I be looking for when I make the purchase?
You really want it to be personal to you. What really speaks to you? What feathers speak to you? What colors speak to you? You know, we have very personal packaging. We hand brand every box ourselves. It's very important that every customer feels some type of personal pull.
That's beautiful.
Towards our product. Yeah, I kind of like this one. This is called the Wallace.
The Southern gentleman look isn't for everyone, but on a warm day in South Carolina, I'm feeling just fine. Well, I hope you've enjoyed these stories as much as we've enjoyed telling them from the Lowcountry of South Carolina. Hope to see you next time for more stories on Chuck's Big Adventure.